Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. I want to put together a quick little video today to kind of give you an update of what's been going on. I've been working on the car some more. I haven't really been filming a lot because, again, a lot of the stuff that I'm working on right now is stuff that's hard for me to work on while I get the camera in there. So I thought this afternoon, before I shut everything down today, I'll kind of do a walk around of the Beetle, kind of give you an update of things that I've been working on, things that have changed since the last video, just to kind of give you an update, kind of tell you what the next steps are, where we're going from here. Alright, from the outside, not much has changed, obviously. But like I said, been working on a few things here and there. One of the things that I finally got sorted out here was gauge mounts. So got the Monster Tack mount built up here. This just sandwiches the dashboard over the defroster vent. That's just a little 1/4-inch aluminum piece of plate there that I cut out. Started with a manila folder as a template. Basically cut that out, bent it and finished it out. Got it mounted up. Should be nice and visible for cruising down the road. And also down here, kind of dark in here, but I've got the boost gauge and AFR gauge pods underneath the dash. Basically everything's sort of finished out now as far as the inside of the cab goes. Next up is a little bit more work on the fuel system. So the last time we were in here, we basically finished everything, but I didn't have the tank in or made any of the final connections of the tank, but I went ahead and finished those things out. Here you can see the return line comes up through where the old brake fluid reservoir used to mount. Comes in and returns to a bulkhead fitting on the filler neck of the tank. And we'll see if we can look down inside there. Let me get some light. If we can see down inside there, hopefully, you can see that I've got the bulkhead fitting. I've got a 90-degree turn that goes in, and then there's an aluminum line that goes and gets the fuel return all the way down below liquid level in the tank. Go ahead and pull the tank out and I'll show you some of the other changes that we made. Alright, so starting into the other changes, ended up changing the pre-filter that I was using. If you remember, I had a small 35 micron pre-filter just ahead of the pump at the end of the last video. Ended up changing that to a much larger 100 micron unit. So get the light in here, you can see it right there. Again, the pre-filter is just trying to catch the big debris before everything goes into the pump to protect the pump, and the fine filter prior to the injectors is what really protects the rest of the fuel system. Also made some general routing changes here. The outlet line of the pump used to kind of snake around back behind the master cylinder there. Ended up working out a little better. To change the fittings, flip-flop that line around and run it up and over so I can get it connected to the hard line. Then of course I've got the outlet tank line here, snakes around, goes into the pre-filter. So pretty well the same situation here. Return line comes back up, like I said, comes through the hole for the brake fluid reservoir, the original location, so I don't have to cut anything. But essentially mostly the same as it was before, just kind of some minor details and changes. Last up, we've got the outlet on the fuel tank fitting finished now. Essentially I just tapped the tank for 1/4-inch MPT, and that's a dash 6 90-degree fitting threaded into the tank. And the nut there is just actually the bored out nut, just to kind of finish it out and protect the threads on the tank. And the last of the big update has been working on the oil system for the car. So I've got, get the light in here. So essentially I have the filter mount in the left-hand fender well, and so that's just your standard filter mount there. The lines will go into the back side of it. And then I've got an oil thermostat there that feeds oil to the cooler, but that makes sure that the oil is warm before I try to cool it off, just to make sure that everything's working efficiently and I get the engine up to temp like I need to. This is all pre-existing stuff on the car once before, so really just kind of clean up, put everything back in place. Of course I had to make new lines, Again, I'm using Fraggle push lock fittings there and their hose, except this is a 1/2 inch hose instead of the 3/8, of course, like it done on the fuel system. The other thing I got finished out is the oil cooler. See if I can get the light in here as well. It's kind of tight, but you can kind of see the oil cooler back there. Essentially, that's a 96 plate Mesa style cooler. I've got the lines coming into that, and then I've got a Spall 7.5 inch cooling fan sitting on top. All the bracketry is just made out of aluminum angle, aluminum strap. Basically comes over and supports off of one side of the frame horn, and then I got it basically hanging from the shock tower on the right hand side. So again, a lot of work being done on the car. Again, a lot of this stuff is just really hard to film and actually work on the car at the same time. So again, it's kind of sorry for just a general update and showing you what I did and not showing you how. But there's nothing real earth-shattering with what I've been doing here. Just pretty basic stuff, just the stuff you kind of got to grind and get through. Again, trying to finish all the car side systems before I get into the engine build. I want the car to be ready to go when the engine's ready. That way I can just stab it in, fire it up. All right, so what's next up? Well, honestly, it's something that I enjoy. Maybe not a lot of people do, but that's kind of getting into the wiring side of the car. So I placed order this morning for all the different hardware that I needed to do that. I had to buy basically bulk wire, some Deutsch connectors, a bulkhead connector for the firewall, and a bunch of odds and ends, heat shrink tubing, and all that sort of stuff that I need to actually build the harness out. So next few videos should be kind of getting the wiring of this thing. I have to do the build on the Megasquirt 3 3X. So I've got one of the DIY build-it-yourself boards, version 3 board. So we'll go through and I'll show you at a high level, not really a tutorial necessarily, but a high level overview of what it takes to build your own Megasquirt. So we'll solder everything on the board, put it all together, test it on the bench with the stimulator board, and then we'll get it in the car, start laying out the harness, put the bulkhead connector into the firewall, and start again landing everything on the car side of the harness. So from the bulkhead connector down to the ECU, we'll set in a relay, which I'm planning to use an MSD solid state setup this go around. And so we'll set up the relay for things like the fuel pump and the intercooler fan, methanol pump, do the wiring harness for all the sensors, coolant, intake air, the extra oil temperature sensor that we're going to put in, fuel pressure and oil pressure sensors, injector harness, crank and cam signals, just all that stuff. So I've already started making notes in my notebook. I've kind of got a layout of about how many wires need to go in. Again, notes are really important when you do something like this, because if you're ever going to get back in there and work on it again later, unless you have a really good memory, it makes a good sense to go ahead and write a few things down. That way you can go back and reference it later. Anyway, so we're making plans. Should have some of those videos come along shortly. There's a lot of work to do there. Likely will be broken up over a couple of videos. Again, we'll see how much of it that I can manage to get filmed, but hopefully I'll get quite a bit of it done and you guys kind of see that process. So we're inching ever closer and closer to actually starting the physical engine build. Again, this stuff, like I said, is just stuff you kind of got to grind through and do, but it's stuff that's necessary. I'm really excited and ready to get this thing back on the road, but I want to make sure that I spend the time now to do it right, so I'm not coming back in and having to do stuff later on that I should have done now. So let's knock it all out the first time, get it right, and get it ready for the engine. That way we can put the engine in, rip it, and have a good time. Alright, so since this is a little bit more of an update video than sort of a really build video on the Beetle, figure I'd throw in a little bit of footage here at the end to show you guys what's going on with the bus lately. For those of you guys that don't know, I've got a 74 late bay transport that's been Subaru swapped. I've got some early videos of the bus on here. That was built really long before I was doing anything with YouTube. But I got a few videos where I did some updates like wheels and brakes on it in the early times of my videos here. But kind of let me show you where things are at now. So as I said, this is my 74 original paint late bay transporter that's been Subaru swapped. It's got an EJ25 from a 99 Forester in it. And this is actually probably the reason why a lot of work really was pretty slow on the on the bug this year. As you recall, I did a lot of the work on the intake system very early in the year, but then took most of the year off where not much happened. Well, actually, there was a lot going on, but it was all in this thing. Essentially, two big projects took place. I finally got all the interior finished out in here. I drove it with basically sort of hodgepodge original interior for quite a long time. But now I've got full sort of retro plaid interior here. Got the headliner, wood headliner all put in. And this is something that I spent quite a bit of time on this past year. So what really necessitated all this, of course, was my desire, or need rather, to basically change the front seats. So I'm 6'5", all my height's in my legs, and was not real comfortable in the stock front seats. So I finally bit the bullet, cut the bulkheads out. These are late model Vanagon seats. I replaced the bulkheads, fabricated some gusset plates here for the B-pillar, kind of threw the Volkswagen emblem in for a nice touch. But as you can see, it gives me a ton more room. In fact, my seat is reclined back behind the B-pillar, which makes it so much more comfortable for somebody my size to drive. But like I said, these are late model Vanagon seats with just no headrest, but it got the armrest and everything on there. And this is all custom interior ordered from SoFine. I was able to basically spec out all the different colors that I wanted. I wanted a sort of a vintage plaid in here, so this is the Westy Brown plaid. Brought in contrast piping, black tweed on the front, brown vinyl on the sides and the back. Really kind of ties in all the different colors inside the bus. So extraordinarily happy with how this came out. It's one of those projects that I put off for a long time, but definitely happy to have that finished up. So another big project that I worked on this year was I finally got a new transmission built for the bus. I had Matt Seidel out of New Jersey build me another 091. I had an 091 in there before that just had the basic third and fourth gear change in it, but this time I went all in, had a sort of no expense spared 091 built, 414 GT ring and pinion, 125 Vanagon third, 812 GT fourth, Foltz aluminum gear carrier, and the works on the inside of it. So really happy with how that came out. Cost me a little bit of money, but really happy to have it done. Been just racking up miles on the bus. I think we're just over 15,000 miles now since we got the swap finished. So again, it's really just sort of hit the mark on exactly what I built it for. Alright, so that's going to finish it up today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me what you want to see. Tell me what you enjoyed about this video. Anyway, thanks for following along on what's going on in VW Nuts Garage. Hope to see you back next time.